Let's look at Friday. There are 10 games in the NBA. We can stream for the most part. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I'm here to freshen your drink, governor. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Blue Sky, joshloyd.bsky.social, on Twitter at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Also, check out lockedondaily.com. That is the best place to find the best newsletter for your best NBA team. Free 5 days a week newsletters. Double bang this one. Subscribe, thumb, comment. All of that stuff is a great way to go about it because it is the preview for Friday for 10 games in the NBA for Pi Day 3.14, which only works in the US, where you guys decide that you want to do the dates backwards, because what more would I expect? I couldn't expect anything more than to do things incorrectly. There you go. Canada, you're safe today. America, I'm targeting you and your stupid date system. All right, let's talk about... but it's actually the one that makes sense, because when you say it, you say March 14th. You say March... Well, you do. Other people say the 14th of March. All right, that's enough of that. Let's talk schedule-based stuff. There's some schedule play. To begin the show, we'll start with some back-to-backs. 3 teams enter into Friday on back-to-backs. The Lakers, the Magic, and the Kings. Talked about this a lot already. So we've got to watch for some rests for Sabonis if he plays or not on Thursday. We don't know. Doncic will be a little bit at risk there. Maybe Dorian Finney-Smith. Maybe Jared Vanderbilt, who did play their last back-to-back. Finney-Smith coming off the ankle. That's all debatable stuff. No clear sits on any of those guys at this stage. So that's a W. There are a lot of teams that start a back-to-back on Friday and then play the second half of it on Saturday, of course. 7 teams, in fact. One of them is going to be resting a lot, and that is the Boston Celtics. You've got the Nuggets, you've got the Rockets, who you've got to watch there with Tari Eason and maybe Fred VanVleet. The Pacers, who should be okay, although Halliburton... The Grizzlies, should be okay. Vince Williams probably sits. Miami Heat, I think they'll be okay. And then the Spurs, who I think will be okay. But I wouldn't be surprised if a Devin Vassell rest or a Chris Paul rest or a Darren Fox rest comes at some point here. Wouldn't be shocked with it. If you want to get chunky here, we've got 3 games in 5 nights for these teams. But, again, you need to check whether it makes sense for you, because Friday is 10. Monday is 10. For a lot of you, 60% of you, a 10-game day is streamable. For others of you, it won't be. And then the chunk value changes. So I'll put these names there. And again, there is going to be some wild stuff. And I'll put this out there right now. There is a game on Friday, the Raptors and the Jazz. And I know the Jazz just got fined for stuff. I think this is going to be an outrageous game in terms of guys sitting out. Maybe Markkanen plays low minutes. Maybe Scotty Barnes plays low minutes. But I'm basing a lot of my projections on nearly all those guys sitting out. Barrett, Quickly, Pirtle, Collins, Kessler, Sexton, Clarkson, Dick, Abaji, Mobo. I'm expecting all of them to be out, and that is going to base a lot of the projection stuff for streaming. I don't know whether that is true, but it would add up with everything we have seen. So I've got Orlando Robinson at the top of this list, who's putting up very good numbers. Anyway, look, even if these guys play like Pirtle, we know the Raptors are incredibly shameless at this, that if Pirtle plays, he'll play like 20 minutes. He was playing too well last time. He played 17 minutes. So Robinson's going to get numbers. Chris Dunn. That's irrespective of tanking. They're on sharp. It's been frustrating, obviously. Just get one spike game in there will be good. Then we go to 2 Phoenix guys. Mason Plumlee, with the uncertainty around Nick Richards. There's no uncertainty around how good he is. He's bad. And Plumlee had been playing minutes over him anyway. But if Richards is out, that actually elevates Plumlee quite a bit. So I like him there. Royce O'Neal starting over Bol. Played 27 and 28 minutes the last 2 games. That's a pretty good sign. And the last one there is Jared Butler. We got the news on Paul George. There is 0.00001% chance he plays again this season. It is done. You don't leak that report if he's done. If he's playing again, you don't. Maxi's out. We know this. No, honestly, he might have less than 5 games in him this season, I would guess. So Jared Butler's going to have value, but they're going to mix and match Oubre's and Grimes and Butlers and Doughtons and Edwards and Councils. It's going to be messy. The good thing with Jared Butler is, though, he's not on a 2-way contract, so we're not limited in how much he can play here. If we want to look at 5s and 2s, we know the Lakers are in the midst of a good schedule. They've got 5 games the next 7 nights. The Pacers do as well, and that's a little underreported. So if you're looking for longer stream options and you don't love the value individually of a Nembhard, of a Neesmith, of a Mathurin, or even a McConnell, or an Obi Toppin for deeper leagues, well, here's where you hit it. 5 games, 7 nights. Big value on those players, even Tom Bryant. If these guys are going to play, and the guards are better with their 24 to 29 minutes, but 5 games, 7 nights, if you want to just lock down a slot with a guy who you could start and get 5 games in 7, the Pacers have a lot of options here over this period, starting on Friday through until next Thursday. Them and the Lakers, the Pacers probably have more appealing options, though, in most formats. Let's talk injury statuses. Like I said earlier, the Celtics are beginning a back-to-back here, and they've listed a lot of guys questionable. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Derek White, and Kristaps illness Porzingis. So we know that Porzingis is not playing both these games, and I would be very, very stunned, shocked, surprised if Brown, Tatum, White, and Horford played both of them. Horford's not. That's guaranteed. But he's probable Friday, Horford, so probably sits on Saturday. But Brown, Tatum, White, I would say 0 shot they play both of these games. So be aware of that. Your Sam Houses, Luke Cornett's value may be bumping. Clint Capella, the reason he's important, because if he is out, it just gives downstream a little bit more value to Don Barlow, maybe a little bit of the night watchman, Muhammad Wayuge, and then some Vic Krejcis and things like that. PJ Washington in Dallas, if he does not play in this game, then that means you've got a 2-game week next week. That is 0 shot you want to hold there. 0. Like that's, you can't hold for so few games. And in fact, we're sort of on the borderline now, 4 games possible in 11 days. That is nowhere near worth it for a lot of you. Full season leagues, playoffs just starting now, Roto, all different stories, but in a head-to-head format, 4 games, 11 nights, and you don't even know that you get 4. It's really, really tough to hold on to that. Don Mitchell missed the last game with a groin issue. I don't think that it's going to be serious, but they're so far ahead that he will have some time off. I'd say he probably plays, but I don't know. Santi Aldama with that calf strain. We haven't really heard any full diagnosis. The Grizzlies would likely come out and say, yeah, Santi's actually undergoing an operation for an amputation below the knee, and then 2 days later is at shoot-around. Like, that's what they do. So I don't really know where we're at with Santi, and last game it was G.G. Jackson who started over Vince Williams. So again, don't really know where that goes. Aaron Gordon with the calf strain for the 3rd time this season. They've got a back-to-back coming up. I would expect he does not play both those games. Which one? We don't know. Luka Doncic is questionable for Thursday. So they've got a Thursday-Friday back-to-back, the beginning of a 6-game and 8-night stretch. So Luka is going to have some time off, at least 1 game over that period, I'm sure. So we need to watch him. And then I did list Raptors Jazz. And like I said, I don't expect any of those guys to play. The exception there is there's a small chance, because of the fining, of Barnes and Markkanen playing roles. But even if like a Jakob Poeltl played or Barnes played, they're not playing 35. Markkanen's not playing 35. But Collins, Sexton, Kessler, Clarkson, George, I would guess, is out. And then Barrett, quickly, Poeltl, Mobo, Dick, Abaji. Sure there's someone, Walter, all these guys are out. So you're going to have the full, what is this G League contest game going on? These are the 2 egregious teams. This is going to be a very, very weird game. And one of those teams pulls guys off, giggity, in order to tank. One of them is the Utah Jazz. So we'll see what Toronto ends up doing here. Or are they just going to be good enough to win? Another couple of statuses we need to look at there is obviously Nick Richards, who missed the last game with ankle soreness, and his teammate, Grayson Allen, who's dealing with some foot issues too. And those guys' absences open things up for Oso Iguodala if Richards is out, who was great last game, with Plumlee ejected as well. Remember that. Iguodala was great, but it took Plumlee being ejected and Richards being out to get there. And then Allen's ability, he will cut into guys like Tyus Jones. He'll cut into Bol. He might cut into Royce O'Neal a little bit as well. And the other one is Domantas Sabonis. I would say there's zero shot he plays both games. So if he plays on Thursday, he almost certainly won't play Friday. If he is out on Thursday, there is a chance that he plays on Friday. So that is obviously just a status that we need to pay attention to. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on that action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That is $200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who is cutting down the nets. Underdogs, there's going to be plenty of them to win. Do you know which ones? What about favorites? Can you just ride them all the way through, betting on spreads and money lines and totals, all that stuff through in March Madness? The FanDuel app is also simple to use, and when you win, you get paid instantly. No more waiting around. So visit FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long, and don't forget to gamble responsibly. Okay, what should we do now? We've looked at injury statuses, stat high. I don't think that's really the right word. Let's talk streaming now. Let's start with points leagues. And again, I will throw that reminder caveat if you just fast forward and skip through all the schedule-based play that we just did. And you just wanted, hey, just give me the streams. If you did that, let's talk about this, because I really, really don't think that the Raptors are going to be playing their guys, nor are the Jazz. Again, Barnes is the iffy one to me. But quickly, Barrett, Pirtle, very, very, very unsure. Very, very doubtful to me that they play. Same with the Jazz and Sexton, Clarkson, Kessler. Who else we're missing? George, Collins. Very unlikely to me. But we'll find out. So a lot of my streaming is going to be based on those assumptions. Has to be. I've got to make projections on stuff. I couldn't sit here and tell you, yeah, it's 33 minutes of Quickly and 34 of Barrett, and that's going to give them good value, because I think that would obscure the likelihood of how the rotation actually looks. But the error bars here are pretty large. I've got Orlando Robinson at the top because even if Pirtle does play, I feel very confident that Robinson will still do enough. So he's there at the top. I've got Colin Castleton, who's on a 10-day contract. It's still eligible to play. He played 40 minutes last game. That one's a little iffier, but I still like it. Jared Butler. Maxi's out. George is out. That one feels more secure. Although they could go with Jeff Doughton over him, but I like that. They could also decide, the Sixers, that is this a game where they sit Oubre, but does Grimes go back to 39 minutes? Tough to know. Bryce Sensabaugh, part of the Jazz Raptors Fun Fest. AJ Lawson, also part of that. And then we go to one who's, again, more stable, more secure. Cole Anthony. You could easily put Jared Rhoden on this list as well, who was unbelievably good in the last game, but he, Lawson, Sensabaugh, all these guys, Castleton, have immense ranges of the values they produce. Because some of them are not very good, and it's just going to be bulk forcing minutes, but some of them could, like AJ Lawson, literally for 2 games in a row, 2 games ago, shot under 20%. So all that stuff does play a part in this. If you look at ESPN points, a lot of the names are the same. The order's a little different. I've got Jared Butler up top, Orlando Robinson, and I feel more secure in those two. Then Castleton, Rhoden, Chris Dunn, also a limited upside compared to some of these guys, but a relatively safe bottom floor. And then Bryce Sensabaugh, who could play 10 minutes, or he could play 30 and score 25 points. I'm trying to guess that these guys don't play, but I don't know. Again, they've been starting Johnny Juzang, and he hit 25 points and 7 threes a week ago. He played 0 minutes yesterday. It really is a tough sort of aim, or a tough way to guess this stuff. And what I think will happen is the Raptors and the Jazz are going to annoy me, and they're going to put these guys as questionable, and then we're going to have to readjust all the projections, and then they're going to sit anyway. So that would be my... I'm going to double check that in case that has already happened. I don't believe it has. No, it hasn't. Just... that is what I think will happen, is they'll put all these guys as questionable, and then they won't play. So just be aware if projections have to change because of that. For points and threes for category leagues we go into now, I'm going to go with those couple of Jazz guys, understanding the risks here. Bryce Sensabaugh, Johnny Juzang. Then we go to the Raptors. Jamison Battle and Jared Rhoden could have a lot of minutes coming. If you want to go a little safer, we've got AJ Lawson in that mix as well. A little safer, yeah, I am doing it. We're talking about the pencil, Harrison Barnes. Voice could be fresh. Barnesy. He's played 30 minutes in each of the last 2 games, Barnes. He's had some decent enough games. One of them was very good. One of them was solid. Now, he's obviously terrible and could be bad at any point. But usually he'll have like a little bit of a bump where he plays a couple of good games in a row, gets a couple of extra minutes. And again, the floor on him is way safer than Sensabaugh, Zhuzhang, who's got a 0-minute floor, Battle, who's also probably got like a 0-minute floor, and then Roden and Lawson. Roden's going to run out of games soon as well. So that's where we're at with that. Assists and steals. Some of the names the same. Again, feel pretty good about Butler. No George. No Maxey. So Jared Butler's there. Mike Conley's going to start, I'm guessing. The upside is limited, but the value is secure. And then we get to Jamal Shed, who's a tough one. He could put up huge numbers, but he was deemed too good in the last game because he had a plus 17 in 12 minutes. He started the game and then went, no way, my guy, off you go. So that is a risk. That is absolutely a risk. But if they deem that he's not good enough, maybe he needs to suck for the first 5 minutes and then, I don't know. Just watch that one. Scottie Pippen is getting a lot of minutes at the moment. They are running with Pippen, Kennard, and Morant. And that is likely, I think, due to the fact that Aldama is out, so they're sort of pushing guys up and around. So Pippen is sort of back on the streaming menu here. Royce O'Neal is also very good at these categories. Shooting, not so much, but these categories, not bad. And Jared Vanderbilt probably leads more steals than assists, but can be a sneaky assist guy worth looking at for these categories at this particular time. We're going to come back, look at boards and blocks. We're going to talk percentages. And that's what we're going to do to finish off the show. But today's episode is also brought to you by Monarch Money. They're the kings over there. You ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Dining out, online shopping, entertainment. It's very, very easy to lose track of where that money is going. And that's where Monarch Money comes in. It's your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. But it's not just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. Track your accounts, your investments, and your spending, all in one place, so you can stop just managing your money and you can start building wealth. It's the all-in-one convenience. You don't have to worry about multiple apps for different banks and different things, and my investments are here and I open this one, and what's the password? It all gets put into the one app so you can see it, help you to work out what's going on, and plan your long-term goals. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That is monarchmoney.com. The code is LOCKEDONNBA for half off your first year. All right, let's now look at big men stats. So we go to boards and blocks for streaming on Friday. Again, the risk of Colin Castleton, but the upside is double-digit rebounds and 3 blocks. He's a pretty interesting player who had big numbers coming out of Florida, flashed some stuff in Summer League and in the G League last year as well, and now has an opportunity. Even if it's just a short-term opportunity, he's someone to watch. I got Mason Plumlee there, way more secure. Orlando Robinson, secure as well. Steven Adams, if he didn't get ejected last game, he was going to get some pretty decent minutes, and he's putting up really, really impressive numbers. So that's something just to pay attention to that I think he's rostered nowhere, and I don't mind that. It's just a little bit of a sneaky stream. You've got Adem Bona. Again, we don't know about Yabusele. We don't know whether Drummond's going to play. I would expect one of the two doesn't play, and Bona gets a floor 22 minutes. You might get 25, 26 Bona minutes. I don't know. If it's longer than 30 minutes, though, seek medical attention. And the other one is Jeremy Sohan. Again, like Adams, like Robinson, like Plumlee, the ceiling's probably not as high, but the floor is a little bit more secure than Colin Castleton or even Adem Bona. So those things are, you got to weight the risk there for your own perspective, your own spot in your league, in your matchup, what you need. You need to take the big hit. You need to take the big fly. Go, man, if this hits, I win. Or do you need to be like, oh, no, I just need safety. I need to just stave off the rabid guys coming behind me. And that is a different approach to all of that stuff. The last thing we want to look at here is percentages. So I got 3 for field goals, 3 for free throws. At field goals, we're going to go with Bona. He's got to play. How much he plays, I don't know. I'm going to go with Brandon Clark, who's a very good field goal guy. And then Castleton, again, a 0% rostered guy you can just grab in any spot. But of course, it might not work. Free throws, Bryce Sensabaugh, Mike Conley, and then 1% rostered legend, Luka Kennard. 1% of basketball monster anyway. He was huge last game. He's not going to be that good, and he's absolutely not a must-roster player. But scoring, free throws, threes, couple of assists, not a bad guy. Not a bad guy to take a look at a streaming level. And that, on Pi Day, is streaming. How many digits can you recite pi to? You can drop it down. Don't copy paste it, just off the top of your head. I used to be able to do, not many, 3.1415927. I think that's as far as I could go with it. Yeah, bloody hell, that's a memory callback from 20 years ago. 25 years ago. That's as far as I could go with it. Anyway, who cares? It's pi, it's a number. Shout out to radiuses, shout out to diameters, shout out to circumferences, and shout out to you guys. Guys, keep the spirits up. Don't be too hard on yourself. Someone will always take that mantle of being hard on you. Don't worry. We are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.